Welcome. This is David Bowles, Human Meme. Today's topic, anxiety and aesthetic.
I'll soon be tainted meat for scavengers to pick at. The shining eyes and claws of all the hunted creatures are sharpening for a kill. Crows and wolves and vultures and every animal that was my victim ever. I'm at their mercy now. This is the last stand, and I haven't an arrow even. All I've left is a wound.
Seamus Haney, The Cure at Troy. Anxiety is an age-old palpitation that has won wars, destroyed lives, and made existential angst the everlasting blue plate special of the day. We are anxious in our success. We have anxiety over our failures. We wake up tired from worry all night. We seek peace in medication. And some of us then must take even more medication to press away the false enhancement of hopes that our moderated and magnified brain chemicals spit out artificially, aesthetically, inside us. Some like to think anxiety is a hallmark of modern society. We like to think we are so advanced with our days and our technologies that no one before us has suffered more, and no one in front of us will suffer any less than we do right now. Oh, we like the feeling of self-martyrdom, the feeling of being special in our dismay. And why wouldn't we? Our society is aimed at the irreparable and the desperate. There are entire systems of social fabric, warped and woofed to protect the fallen and the insoluble. The only problem with anxiety, and I'm not saying people are not anxious and scared and on the edge, because they are, but the problem with anxiety happens when we let that anxiety define us. We stay home. We refuse to socialize. We become an open wound for the weeping that we refuse to wash or allow to scab over. Yes, my human meme friend, the bleeding among us are more valued in society than the rarely healed. So who wouldn't want to be triggered and set on edge at all times? The anxious acting out is rewarded with attention. The anxiousness is made into an indicator of life instead of a warning against the demise of death. There is no honor at all in the anxiety aesthetic. And yet, we have reason to be anxious. We live in an uncertain and cruel world. We pretend to care about the welfare of each other and of strangers. But when we are tested and exposed, some of us clearly only care about ourselves, not even our friends or our families. And that reality check would make anyone anxious, because that dismay means you cannot rely on your fellow citizens to come through for you, and that you cannot even wonder if anyone else could even be bothered for the betterment of society in which we live. And so the opposite of anxiousness becomes selfishness. And we cannot be both at the same time. One always outshines the other in ego and id, and in acting out. Selfishness blinds and abhors the vacuum of inattention. Anxiety perpetuates itself as a self-propelling philosophy that ends up leaving both mind and body in a semi-stasis of fear and lonesomeness. Confidence is the one trait that beats back both the selfish curve and the anxious angle. Confidence in your purpose and confidence in your intention saves the day and rules society for everyone. Confidence must never be confused with anarchy or authority. No, confidence is merely doing the right thing at the right time. Confidence is all context and motivation, while also thinking of others that may or may not include the best thing for the self. Yes, my human meme friend, confidence oozes generosity of spirit and educates the lonely out of skepticism. Confidence brings respect and love into a relationship. You cannot be both anxious and confident. Yes, it is impossible to be both selfish and confident, even though some selfish people try to pass off their selfishness as confidence. We can be selfish and anxious and confident all in one lifetime, but never at the same time. Anxiety is not an aesthetic to be admired or placed on a pedestal for public inspection. Anxiety is a roughing definition of the angst embedded into a lifetime, and that anxiety needs to be examined and dealt with, and then summarily removed. Because to be anxious is to be scared and uncertain and unsure, and those are not the hallmarks of an aesthetic life. Those are not the indicators of the suffering artist. Anxiety can wound and harm and even kill. We need to deal with the expression of our fears in a good way that evens out the sharpness and the danger of landing on a bleeding edge. Yes, we can embrace our anxiety, if only to tame it, and then put it back into a neutral gear as an influence in our lives. And if medication and talking to other people helps us deal with the anxiousness of life, then we are all better for that sharing. Because we cannot move forward together as a people if we are inactive and unsure and wholly scared to take the next inhalation of air. Because the one indicator across the ages of the sign of life is not the exhalation of despair, but the inhalation of life. In-breath brings life, indicating the annual, autumnal, parasympathetic need to stretch into the next day, to touch the whisper of those exhaling around you. Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.